Hey, you should all behave yourselves. I always have enough for everyone, Ngozi scolded, her voice carrying over the crowded market. Her knife sliced through crispy roasted pork, laying it alongside roasted plantain, yam, and her signature pepper soup with a fiery pepper sauce. She was the talk of the town. Everyone seemed to prefer her food. Across the street, Mama Ebere stood in front of her own food stand, watching helplessly as her customers flocked to Ngozi's table. Her shoulders slumped, and her eyes welled up with tears. Trying to hide her despair, Mama Ebere slipped behind her stall. There she found her husband, Papa Ebere, hastily chewing on something, Ngozi's pork meat. He froze, a guilty look spreading across his face. "What are you doing? You too?" Mama Ebere's voice shook as tears rolled down her face. Papa Ebere looked away, not knowing how to respond. The betrayal stung her deeply, and a dark determination began to form within her. That evening, she kept her stand open far longer than usual, waiting until the market was empty. A plan began to take shape in her mind. I need to find out what spices she's using. There must be something special about her food, Mama Ebere whispered to herself. Midnight approached, and Mama Ebere finally made her move, creeping into Ngozi's backyard. She felt her heart pounding as she slipped past the windows, glancing nervously around. Then, through the faint glow of candlelight, she saw something that made her blood run cold. Inside the dim kitchen, Ngozi was chanting softly over a figure bound to a chair. The man was thrashing, his face contorted in terror. Slowly, before Mama Ebere's horrified gaze, the man's body began to shift, skin rippling, limbs curling inward as his terrified eyes locked onto hers. Moments later, a pig sat in the chair, its eyes filled with a human sorrow. Mama Ebere stifled a gasp, stumbling backward. But her foot caught a pile of cooking pots, sending them clattering across the ground. In an instant, Ngozi's head snapped up, her eyes narrowing. She was on Mama Ebere in a flash, her grip as cold as iron. "What do we have here?" Ngozi whispered, her voice dripping with malicious. "You wanted to know my secret, didn't you?" Mama Ebere struggled in her grasp, her voice barely a whimper. "Please, I didn't mean to. I won't tell anyone." Ngozi's grin widened, her teeth flashing in the moonlight. "Oh, Mama Ebere, it's only gonna hurt for a while. But don't worry, I'll make sure your food stand thrives after tonight." Before Mama Ebere could even respond, Ngozi released her grip. "Go on," she said with a sickly sweet tone. "Run along." Mama Ebere didn't need to be told twice. She bolted, her legs carrying her down the narrow, winding path toward her house. But as she ran, her heart pounding, she heard footsteps behind her, slow and deliberate. Something was following her. The sound grew closer and closer, a wet, slithering noise and a low, rasping breath. Mama Ebere couldn't bear it any longer. She turned her head, hoping it was only her imagination. Behind her was a creature, skinless, bloody, with exposed muscle glistening under the faint moonlight. Its mouth twisted into a cruel smile. "Mama Ebere," it hissed, "I've waited so long for a companion. Your husband will be lonely without you. And your children, they need a mother, don't they? I'll take such good care of them when you're gone." Mama Ebere's knees buckled as the creature moved closer, reaching out with skeletal fingers, its grin growing wider. She tried to scream, but nothing came out. Once upon a time, in the vibrant and bustling town of Umuofia, there lived a woman named Mama Ebere. She was renowned for grilling the most delicious pork in town. The aroma of her sizzling meat wafted through the air, drawing in people from near and far. Her small stand, with its colorful awnings and lively chatter, was a cherished part of the community. One particular morning, as the sun began to rise and birds chirped sweetly, Mama Ebere arrived at her stand, ready to serve her loyal customers. But on this day, something was amiss. Across the road, a new sign had appeared, gleaming in the sunlight, proclaiming in bold letters, "Ngozi's Crispy Pork." Mama Ebere stood frozen, her hands on her hips, eyes wide with disbelief. What had just sprung up before her was a rival she had not anticipated. Her children gathered around, scratching their heads in confusion, staring at the new joint with curiosity. Just then, Mama Ikem, Mama Ebere's closest friend, approached. A knowing grin spread across her face. "Thank God you came in time. Have you seen? Ngozi is the new girl in town. Everyone's talking about her. They say she's been out sharing flyers, inviting everyone to try her crispy pork meat this evening. What do we know about her? Where does she come from?" Mama Ebere asked, leaning in closely, her heart racing. I don't know, but whatever is meant for you, God will not give it to another person. Mama Ikem replied, ever the believer, as Mama Ebere began to wash a bucket full of her prized pork. As the sun climbed higher, the clock ticked closer to 5 p.m., and the village bustled with energy. The aroma of Mama Ebere's grilled pork filled the air, but her heart sank as she noticed a group of young men racing toward Ngozi's stall instead. We heard there's free food here, one of the men shouted, excitement bubbling in his voice as he reached Ngozi's stand. Come, my dear friends, have a seat and I'll arrange something special for you, Ngozi called out, her voice booming with charm. Mama Ebere felt as if the ground was slipping beneath her. There she stood, with her freshly grilled pork, watching her beloved customers flock to the glimmering new stand like bees to honey. Before she could even greet her customers, Ngozi's voice rang out over the crowd. We have assorted crispy pork here for free, and the palm wine is free too. Oh no, Mama Ebere whispered to herself, watching her opportunity vanish like mist in the sun. Those who tasted Ngozi's pork couldn't contain their joy, proclaiming, this is the sweetest meat I've eaten in my entire life. And just like that, the crowd swelled, drawing more and more people. As dusk fell, Mama Ebere stood defeated. The sun dipped low, and with it, her hopes for the day. Soon, a panicked Ngozi called out, I'm sorry, my friends, we are out of meat. Come back tomorrow, I promise there will be plenty. Silence engulfed Mama Ebere's stand. Not a single soul had come to patronize her that day. Mama Ikem, upon seeing her friend's forlorn state, approached once more, her forehead etched with concern. What happened? Your pork meat looks just as delicious as it always did. Please don't tell me your loyal customers went to support that new girl. Mama Ikem exclaimed incredulously. Mama Ebere sighed deeply, her heart heavy. Yes, my dear friend, they chose her free meat today. You know how much people love anything that costs nothing. The two women exchanged worried glances. Mama Ebere tried to comfort herself. I'm sure things will be different tomorrow, she said, but doubt laced her voice. I hope so too, Mama Ikem replied with a frown. How can someone just start a business and attract so many customers so quickly while you, who have poured years into yours, struggle? The next morning, Mama Ebere was determined. She selected the finest cuts of meat and marinated them lovingly, adding her signatory spices. She knew she had to outshine Ngozi and win back her customers. Yet as Mama Ebere set up her stand, her heart sank deeper than before. The crowd had doubled, eagerly awaiting Ngozi's crispy pork as they chattered joyfully. Only a handful of Mama Ebere's closest friends came to purchase from her. Mama Ebere felt lost. Remembering the glimmer in her children's eyes when she first opened her stand, she thought, this isn't just about the pork, it's about the community, the love we share with every meal. With newfound resolve, Mama Ebere began to speak to her customers. Friends, come and taste something special, made with love and care, she called, her voice rising confidently. The villagers paused, turning to her. With sly smiles, Mama Ebere reached for a platter, showcasing her glistening pork, drizzled in her special sauce. Close your eyes and imagine the flavors of tradition wrapped around every bite, she exclaimed, her charisma drawing attention. But only few came to her, of which was out of compulsion. Every day apart from cooking, she had to do an extra work in convincing people to buy from her. This became a huge heartache, and every night she would cry. You see, while Mama Ebere was resilient and hardworking, she bore the responsibility of being the breadwinner for her family. Her husband, Chinedu, was remarkably handsome, with dark, expressive eyes that held an undeniable charm. His tall stature and easygoing smile drew admiration from many in the village, including the newcomers like Ngozi, who couldn't help but notice him. But beneath that dazzling exterior lay a man who strayed into the shadows of complacency. Chinedu had never embraced any trade himself, preferring to spend his days in leisure while watching the world go by. He often lounged at home or chatted with friends, enjoying his status as the respected husband of the village's most popular cook, yet he hardly pitched in to help with her business. Chinedu, we need to promote my stand more, Mama Ebere had pleaded one morning, her hands covered in spices as she prepared for the day. Do we really, Ebere? Everyone knows your food is the best, he replied, a carefree wave of his hand suggesting his lack of concern. But if I don't keep improving, someone else will take my customers. Look at Ngozi. She is attracting crowds with her flashy style. Mama Ebere pressed on, her voice a mix of frustration and urgency. His sharp laughter rang out, dismissing her. Days turned into weeks as Mama Ebere struggled with her business. The more detached Chinedu seemed. He would often venture out, claiming he was meeting friends or just soaking in the sun. Little did Mama Ebere know, his afternoons were spent with Ngozi, exchanging laughter and flirty glances. Ngozi had it all planned out. Mama Ebere's booming business, her handsome husband, and the community that loved her. She wanted it all to herself. It wasn't a coincidence. Ngozi was an evil eyes fashioned against Mama Ebere and her family. One warm afternoon, as Mama Ebere was busy grilling her pork, the tantalizing scent mingling with laughter in the air, Chinedu decided to visit her stand. Sporting a fresh shirt and an inviting smile, he strode up to the counter, his eyes glimmering with mischief. "Ah, my beautiful wife, the queen of crispy pork. How has business been today?" he asked, his voice smooth as honey. Mama Ebere looked up, momentarily caught off guard by his sudden presence. "It's been good, Chinedu. I finally made some changes to the recipe. I think it'll help with the competition." "Changes? You mean for Ngozi?" he chuckled, leaning back casually. The laughter of nearby customers faded as Mama Ebere's heart sank. "This is about our family, Chinedu. This is my hard work, not about her," she retorted, a mix of determination and pain flashing in her eyes. "Relax, love. We both know you're better than her," he said, though his eyes darted off towards Ngozi's stand, where villagers chattered and flocked with plates piled high. Just then, Ngozi appeared in a vibrant dress, exuding confidence as she called to Chinedu. "Chinedu, come try my new dish. It's a special infused pork with secret spices," she crooned, her voice as enticing as the scent of her food. A flicker of excitement washed over Chinedu's face, and he smiled back, his gaze lingering a moment too long. "Sure, why not?" he replied, taking a step toward her. Mama Ebere's heart raced, a mix of betrayal and confusion swirling within her. "Chinedu," she called out, but he had already joined the crowd around Ngozi, easily slipping into her orbit. With each laugh they shared, the wedge between husband and wife grew wider. Days turned into weeks, and Chinedu's visits to Mama Ebere's stand became infrequent. He'd come home late, the scent of Ngozi's cooking clinging to him. He rarely sat down to eat with his family anymore, and when he did, he became increasingly critical of Mama Ebere. "Why don't you lose a few pounds, Ebere?" he remarked one evening, casually tossing the comment over his shoulder as he reached for the best cuts of meat. "Maybe then you could keep up with the trends. Nobody wants a big woman serving food. Just look at Ngozi." Stung, Mama Ebere's heart clenched. She had always been proud of her figure, believing it to be a testament to the delicious food she cooked and the love she poured into every dish. "I've worked hard, Chinedu. I am not just a figure. I am your wife and the mother of our children," she cried out, her voice trembling. "Oh, come on. Don't get all worked up. It's just a little constructive criticism, Ebere. If you were as light on your feet as Ngozi, maybe you'd see how much better things could be." He sneered, dismissing her hurt with a wave of his hand. The insults piled up, managing to break through the confidence she held so dearly. Mama Ebere felt the weight of his words, each one cutting deeper than the last, igniting a flicker of doubt within her. Was she really losing her charm to this new rival? Meanwhile, unbeknownst to Mama Ebere, the bond between Chinedu and Ngozi blossomed in clandestine sweethearts, a dangerous liaison hidden behind the facade of friendly competition. Ngozi's ambition is not just to dominate the culinary scene in town. She aimed to take over Mama Ebere's entire life. "It's time I possess everything. I'm tired of being the other woman to this good-for-nothing humans," Ngozi said, staring at Chinedu across the street. "I'll be Mama Ebere most of the time and get to be with Chinedu and also run Mama Ebere's business without people raising their brows. Ngozi can still be his mistress, and I can hunt easily with Ngozi's skin than with fatty Mama Ebere," as she burst into laughter. Ngozi was no ordinary human. She is a witch, a skinwalker that steals people's skin to perpetrate evil. Soon Mama Ebere started suspecting something, but the revelation of what's to come was far worse than she thought. "Ngozi have some secret spices she's hiding. I need to find it. That's the only way I can save my business and my family." She thought one evening, after another day of trying to convince customers, midnight approached and Mama Ebere finally made her move, creeping into Ngozi's backyard. She felt her heart pounding as she slipped past the windows, glancing nervously around. Mama Ebere arrived at her home with a heavy bag. As the door creaked open, Oluchi, Mama Ebere's youngest child, rushed to greet her with excitement. "Mama, welcome home. What did you bring for me?" She gleefully tried to search through the bag, but Mama Ebere snatched the bag back. A sly smile, remained silent, her mind racing to blend into her new life. Meanwhile, Ebere and Emeka, Mama Ebere's elder children, watched their mother closely. They couldn't shake the feeling that something was off. "Mama," Ebere asked with a hint of worry in her voice, "why aren't you saying anything? Is it because of Ngozi again?" Mama Ebere turned to her children, a chilling grin spreading across her face. "Everything is just fine," she replied, her tone dripping with uncharacteristic cheerfulness. "In fact, from now on, we're going to be the talk of the town. There's no need for Ngozi anymore, because I'll be the only one selling." As the days passed, Mama Ebere became increasingly distant from her children. Chinedu couldn't help but notice her sudden change. For some reason, she no longer complained about being home. Oluchi, however, felt a growing concern. Her mother's transformation left her puzzled and worried. Mama Ebere began to punish them more often and made them work tirelessly at her shop. The light-hearted laughter that once filled their home had vanished. One day, gathering her courage, Oluchi approached her mother, desperation lacing her words. "Mama, why have you changed so much? You never buy me sweets anymore, and you always yell at us." But Mama Ebere only turned away, ignoring her daughter's heartfelt questions. "I will get rid of that little brat soon," she thought to herself, a wicked plan forming in her mind. The shadows in their home grew darker, and Oluchi knew she had to uncover the truth behind her mother's strange behavior. What secrets was Mama Ebere hiding? As she pondered this, little did she know that danger lurked just beneath the surface. Mama Ebere came home very late one night, carrying a plump pig in her arms. She quietly tied the pig to a wooden chair and tiptoed toward the basement, careful not to wake her family. You see, the basement was Mama Ebere's secret place where she practiced her magic. In the basement, Mama Ebere kept a big red pot, and inside that pot was Ngozi's skin she had stolen from Ngozi, a beautiful lady she had hurt before coming to Umuofia. Mama Ebere looked into the dusty mirror in front of her. She saw her youngest daughter, Oluchi, standing there, eyes wide with shock. Oluchi had followed her, trying to know why she never allows anyone come to the basement. "What have you seen, little mouse?" Mama Ebere growled, her eyes narrowing. "You shouldn't be here." Oluchi trembled with fear. She had always suspected that her mother was acting strangely, but she had never imagined this. "Please don't hurt me," Oluchi cried out, but Mama Ebere smiled wickedly. "You're in my way, Oluchi," Mama Ebere said, holding her firmly. With a quick wave of her hand, she cast a spell that turned Oluchi into a little pig. Mama Ebere couldn't help but laugh. 2 down, 1 more to go. She had turned Mama Ebere's only son to a pig to serve her customers when she ran out of meat the previous month. When morning came, Ebere woke up and noticed Oluchi was miss. "Papa, where is Oluchi?" she called out, looking everywhere in their cozy house. Mama Ebere shouted back, "I don't know, just help me with these pigs for market." Ebere felt worried, but it's not like her to just disappear, she said. Papa Ebere was annoyed and told her to stop fussing and help with the pigs. Ebere felt tears sting her eyes. Didn't anyone care about Oluchi? Chinedu is under a spell and always listened to Mama Ebere and did nothing even when Emeka, his only son, got missing. As she picked up the pigs to the carriage, Ebere noticed something strange. One of the pigs had the same little mole that Oluchi had. "Oluchi, is that you?" Ebere whispered. The pig rubbed against her leg, and Ebere felt certain it was her sister. The pig then ran toward a small cabin in the backyard, the same place Oluchi liked to hide when she felt sad about her missing brother and her mother's lack of care. Ebere couldn't stop the fear creeping into her heart. What if their mother was truly a witch? She remembered all the strange things Oluchi had said about their mother acting different. Just then, Mama Ebere's voice echoed from the house. "Ebere, where is my pig?" "I'm late for market. Panic filled Ebere's heart. "I won't let you take it, Mama. I think it's Oluchi," she shouted, bravely standing her ground. But Papa Ebere laughed and said, "Don't be silly. Oluchi might have ran off to play with her friends." Desperate to save her sister, Ebere pulled the pig back, but Mama Ebere snatched it away, taking it with Papa Ebere to the market. Ebere felt shattered and alone, tears streaming down her face. "I can't lose Oluchi." This the same event that happened with Emeka. Her brother, she cried out, her eyes heavy with grief, praying to God for help. Exhausted, she fell asleep, and in her dream, she saw the pig crying, "Sister, please help me. I'm scared." Ebere woke up, her chest pounding in fear and determination. "I need to save my sister," she declared. She summoned courage and broke into the basement. "Mama Ebere forbids anyone to enter. Whatever it is, I will find out myself." As she went in, she saw a sinister scene that sent shivers down her spine. She opened the big red pot in front of her and saw Ngozi's skin, and the wall was covered with different kinds of animal skulls and skins and human skulls. She ran out without looking back, knowing fully well the gravity of what is at stake if she doesn't save her sister early enough. "I need a plan. I can't run away with her. If not, she will be a pig forever. And I can't stay here since my father is of no use to the situation. I have to expose her myself," she said, walking around the seating room. A long-forgotten tale spoke of 3 witches who kills and take away the skin of young women to stay alive forever. She paused. Could this be real? The tale also said witches could be exposed with garlic water as it washes off their skin, revealing their true nature. Without hesitation, she rushed and gathered all the garlic cloves she could find and pounds it into a big bucket filled with water. Ebere ran as fast as she could to the main street, where Mama Ebere was serving her customers. When she arrived, she spotted Oluchi tied to a nearby tree, and with all her might, Ebere poured the garlic water on Mama Ebere. But nothing happened. The customers stared at her, confused. "Ebere, what are you doing?" they murmured. Papa Ebere grabbed Ebere's arm and said, "What has gotten into you? You must apologize to your mother." Ebere, not knowing what to do next, took a shaky step towards Mama Ebere. "I'm sorry, Mama," she whispered. But as she looked closer, Mama Ebere revealed half of her demon face to her. Ebere screamed, "Help! This isn't my mother. She's a witch. She took my real mother's skin, killed Emeka, my brother, and turned Oluchi into a pig." Ebere cried, pointing towards her sister. "She's feeding you people human meat. It's not pork. It's not pork," Ebere cried out. The people burst into laughter, thinking Ebere was imagining things. No one believed her, as they continued to eat and drink. Nobody was listening, not even her father. "I have to leave this town," she said as she ran towards where her little sister was tied. But Papa Ebere came and held her hands. "I think we've had enough of your insolence for today. Papa, please listen to me. Mama Ebere is an evil witch," Ebere pleaded. But Chinidu, who is under the witch's spell, didn't listen. Instead, he sealed Ebere's mouth, saying, "I see you want to ruin your mother's business. I'm taking you home." Ebere struggled to break from his grip, but couldn't.